Hi, this is Nathan Markley, and this is the Nathan Markley Show podcast. This show originally aired at WNRI 1380 AM and 99.9 FM on Friday, June 19th, 2026. This is Season 3, Episode 14. Enjoy.
Yeah! Friday nights! WNRI! Winding down slow, radio on, like he's riding shotgun all night long. Me and Nathan, that same old voice, stories rolling, easy choice. I'm staying in for the Nathan Martin Show every Friday night on my radio. From WNRI, yeah, the signal rolls through the walls, down to my soul. I'm staying in for the Nathan Martin Show. Let the whole town drive, I'll let 'em go. I'll be right here where the stories flow. Tuned in time to the Nathan Markley Show.
Whoa, hello everyone. How are you doing this Friday evening? Nathan Markley here. You're listening to the Nathan Markley Show on WNRI 1380 AM and 99.9 FM in Woonsocket, Rhode Island. Tonight, I've got a great conversation coming up. And as always, my dad, Glenn, will be joining me for the Ask a Mechanic around 6:25-ish. Your automotive questions answered. You can submit your questions by calling in or visiting our website at nathanmarkley.net/askamechanic. The number to call is 401-766-1380 or 401-769-0600. Or toll free at 1-800-949-WNRI. That is 401-766-1380 or 401-769-0600 or toll free 1-800-949-9674. You can also stream us live on WNRI.com or on the TuneIn Radio app. Show notes, links, and more, anything I talk about in today's show will always be on the show in there. What was it? Sorry, that's the train of thought. nathanmarkley.net/podcast is the web address. And there's no sign up there ever. And let's introduce my co-host, my dad, Glenn. Hello, Dad. How you doing this Friday?
Very good. And yourself, Nathan?
Yeah.
Do I need to be introduced?
I don't know. Probably not anymore.
Maybe you can welcome me.
We've been, yeah, that's true. We could probably welcome. Yeah, I have to change that in the script for the beginning. It's because we've been doing this show now 15 weeks.
Yeah, just about a little over 3 months.
Yeah. Because if I remember, because I record every show and I number them, and I'm on recording 14 because there's a week that I didn't get the recording. But yeah, so this week the weather has been somewhat good. I think it's been hot and then cold, the typical New England weather, which is interesting.
I think I enjoy the weather. It's been very nice this week.
Yeah, hopefully this weekend is going to be the same thing, but hopefully next weekend is good weather, because next weekend, as you probably know or not, is Field Day. It's actually all next week is Amateur Radio Week, and that is I forgot when the state made this into one of the law of the days and special of observance. I think it's Statute 25-2-55, Amateur Radio Week. And the week ended in the fourth full weekend of the month of June. So yearly be set apart as a week to be known as Amateur Radio Week. And this week is observed by people of the state with appropriate ceremonies and activities that celebrate the many constitutions contributions
Contributions?
of amateur radio operators have and continue to make in our state. And we'll talk a little bit about amateur radio as we go on today.
So you mean ham radio?
Ham radio,
Ham
yes.
radio.
Amateur radio, or ham radio for those who know that. And it's a pretty fun weekend. So this year it lands on June 27th and 28th.
Field day is on those
Field
days.
day, yep.
We need to explain what that means.
Yep, I'm going to get to that. The whole week is like amateur radio week too, but Field day is where more than 40,000 amateur radio operators, probably more than that. The numbers I got was like 40,000, but it's probably more across the country. Kind of come together at different places, a lot of them public places, and I think they have to be public places, like a park or places. And they use set up the radios and to show off of what they can do and talk about it, right? It's like community outreach, but also there's being emergency power. They use emergency power because they're not really used like the electrical grid. You have to use some kind of generator, really, unless I think there's an exception. You can use regular power, but really it's emergency power for field day, and you make contact with all of the other stations in the country and Canada. It's pretty fun. I know I've done it in the past, and it's been a few years since I haven't done it, but hopefully I can get back into it this year. And I made contacts through California, Texas, Georgia, Florida, some in Canada. In the station, I was part of the Providence EMA, Emergency Management Agency races team, and they have amateur field day event. I don't know if they're doing it this year. I couldn't find information. Maybe I can look it up and talk about it next week. And they have the radio set up, and with the antenna, usually it's different technical wire antenna. So it's a dipole or a Yagi, and then there's another one too. And you just switch to different frequencies. And I'll let you talk about that a little bit, about radio and the frequencies if you want. And
Sure.
You can add more about field day too.
Oh, yeah. So Nathan and I are both ham radio operators. And one of the main purposes for field day is for the clubs, ham radio clubs, to get together and set up, what they call a mobile environment. That's why they call it field day, because it's typically in a public place, literally out in a field somewhere, because they need, room to set up the antennas and their tents or maybe their trailers that they have where their equipment is utilized. And it's a way for the club members to practice, setting up and deploying all their equipment and making sure it works, and their infrastructure as far as food for the operators, because it's 24 hours is when it lasts.
Yeah, I forgot to mention the time. It's I only know the UTC time, but it's 1800 UTC is Saturday, ending at 2059 UTC Sunday. I don't know what that converts to. I think it's like 2 p.m. Saturday to 2 p.m. Sunday.
Right, and UTC time is another word for Greenwich Mean Time. So where that international line is with the time, where it changes from night to day. I believe in the East Coast here, we're 5 hours behind UTC, or is it 4?
Daylight savings time, so I think it's 5.
Right.
5.
So again, the purpose is for the clubs to practice their deployment, to simulate supporting emergency operations when there's a natural disaster, like a hurricane or whatever. Maybe the infrastructure for communications went down for some reason. Maybe it was terrorist or just a natural disaster. Yeah. And again, it gives the operators of the club or the hams that belong to those clubs a chance to get on the air and they take shifts on the air. But there's more than one radio, of course, and there's different modes. So you may have 2 or 3 operators set up for high frequency or HF frequencies, and then you may have someone work in digital mode. Mm-hmm. You may have 1 or 2 persons operating what they call CW or continuous wave more commonly known as Morse code. So operators sending Morse code, they're receiving a signal. And the purpose is to log as many contacts as you can. And then there's subcategories where you can get recognition or win the contests for each mode, where there may be what they call multipliers. There may be certain, they may be tracking at what zones or states you make contact with. And the contacts don't need to be a typical conversation or rag chew. That's the term that the hams use when they're just BSing, so to speak. And the contacts are kind of simple.
It's very quick.
Yeah, you want to, you call CQ and your station number, like I'll just use one, W1AW, which is the ARRL in Connecticut.
Yeah.
I'm just using that as an example. And and when someone replies to you with their call sign, you confirm their call sign, you ask them their location or zone, you ask you ask for a signal report, and you give them a signal report of the strength of the signal and clarity of the signal that's received, and you log it into a logging system, typically computer, and that's uploaded at the end of the contest or during the contest to the agency, in this case ARRL, American Radio Relay League.
You have to submit it.
You submit it.
You have to submit, and you also give your location too. It's usually the location is usually a number and a letter for the zones,
yeah.
The different zones too.
But that's just the main reason is practice deploying the equipment to simulate a supporting emergency agencies and the local agencies.
Because
now,
I think the number too, the letter is the location,
right.
But the number is like how many operators, or if you have like emergency power or battery backup with different power, or how many stations you have too. I think that's what it is.
Right. And another purpose is if there are ham operators out there that don't get to use their license or get on the air due to whatever reason, they don't have the equipment or they don't practice it. It gets people out like ourselves that we can go to a club's field day location. We can operate. The general public can come and operate, and they have a get on the air type. They'll set up a radio and a microphone and so you can so if you're not a ham or you're not licensed, you can try it out.
You can try it, yeah.
And you're using the license of the person watching you, or the operator, as they call it. So
in amateur radio, you need to be licensed, and it's by the FCC, and you take a test, and it's 3 different classes. There's a technician, general, and extra. My dad and I were both technician. That's the first level, and you get certain privileges to talk on whatever frequencies. And as you go up in classes and different licenses, you can get more frequencies and more privileges. And then it's actually pretty cheap. I think it's it $15 or $20 for
about $35.
It's $35. Oh, am I not?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Okay.
So it's exciting, especially if you want to know what ham radio is all about. You want to try it and get on the airwaves. A lot of the clubs will advertise to, youth groups or church groups to have people come.
Yep, on social media.
You get to see the different types of equipment, and you may be a ham and have some equipment at home, but you may not have the equipment you want, meaning higher ability equipment. I'm not going to say higher price. Of course, it's higher price, but there's more features for it in it, and you can try that out.
One of the other things too about just get back to the license is because you need to be licensed and you have field day, you have go to get on the ear part of it. Some of them do, some of them don't, but a lot of them do, because you can, once you're licensed, a unlicensed person can talk on the radio as long as that licensed person is next to you, and you only can use you have the same privileges as the licensed person. Also, when I did a few years ago at PEMA, the Providence EMA, Macy's team field day, one of the things we got points for, we were trying to make contact through satellite. So there's satellites up in the space with repeaters, the computers that able to send that signal to the radio signal to connect to two radios together. So you point the antenna to the satellite, and there's software like a website. You're able to track the satellites, and you get the coordinates, and
you'll know
with
when
the
they're flying
software,
above you.
you'll be able to know,
Right.
and you just point the antenna there, and you may have to turn it with your hand to kind of like get a good signal. And once you're able to connect to it, you have two radios, use one for receiving, one for transmitting, and as you when you hit that satellite, and you're able to talk to someone else that's also pointing their antenna to that satellite. So so you don't just need a wire antenna. You can use that wireless communication through satellite to talk back and forth. And one of the things I love about amateur radio is the fact that you don't really need technology, the internet, to talk to people all over the world, right? You just need a simple copper wire, really.
Right.
If going from tree to tree, building to building, or whatever, and connect it to your radio through coax, and you have a simple radio. You can get radios like a VHF and UHF radio for like $20, $25.
Right.
Or HF is a little more expensive with higher frequencies, and you're able to talk to thousands of people who have that license across the country. And like my dad said, it's used a lot in emergency communications and national disasters who don't have power and need to communicate. Amateur radio operators are there, will go down there to help people communicate and relay messages to family so they're okay,
Right.
and help them. We're able to make that communication there.
And one thing that's important is you don't have to go. Well, it'd be great if you can go and visit a club at the field day event. But if you are a ham radio operator and you have equipment at home and you can't get out to visit, you could just start, calling and responding to those stations that are out in the field.
Mhm.
You can listen in at home on your equipment. And when you go to field day and see some of the different types of antennas that they deploy or erect, and put up, it's kind of eye-opening seeing the different types of antennas with different frequencies that they're trying to broadcast
That's
on.
pretty cool. So I did some research, and there are two places I found that have a field day that are open to the public. One is the Providence Radio Association at the, how do you pronounce it? Masonic Youth Center in Warwick, Rhode Island. And then also the Fidelity Amateur Radio Club is having field day at the New England Wireless and Steam Museum in East Greenwich, Rhode Island. And both of those are open to the public and free. I will have links to those where you can find more information in the show notes on my website if you want to look at that. And you can also go on the ARRL's website at arrl.org/field day, or field-day, and use their locator to find different sites for that weekend. And again, that is June 27th to 28th. And it is a great family-friendly outing. Something to take your family out and do for
stop by for a half hour, 1 hour, 2 hours. I'm sure you'll be interested in what you see there, and you can get on the radio also.
Yeah, it's pretty fun, and I will keep talking, get more information about it next week too.
Okay.
But yeah, and so next week is Amateur Radio Week and your field day, so that's pretty exciting. And one last thing before we cut to a commercial and switch gears to Ask a Mechanic. When you are a licensed amateur radio operator, you can get your call sign from the FCC on your license plate. It's not considered a vanity plate. It's just a regular license plate with the call sign. So you just pay the regular registration fee, whatever that is now. And that's pretty cool. I have a link to that in the and my website to the DMV about that. And when I had my Jeep, I had my call sign, my license plate, but since I got rid of it, I had to unregister it. So I have to redo it now with my new car. Eventually I'll do that.
But we both encourage you to visit a club next weekend for field day. And if you are a ham operator or have been to a field day, or you call in right now if you're listening, or you could always send us an email on nathanmockley.net.
Yep.
And we can be glad to talk to you next Friday, if you have time to tell us what you're doing for your field day.
Yeah.
And promote it.
Yep. And if you are listening and you want to come down to either the one that the Providence Radio Association or Fidelity doing, you might see us there, because that's two of the things that we're planning on going. Hopefully, at least one. We don't know which one yet, but who knows? Come say hi. All right, so we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll switch gears to Ask a Mechanic. And we have an email question today. And then if you have, if anyone's listening, want to call in for automotive,
right,
you can give us a call, and we'll be right back.
Yeah, call us with any question you have, automotive related.
The Nathan Marcus Show, WNRI.
Would like to buy or sell a property? Lydia Smith. If you or anyone that you know would like to buy or sell a property, Lydia Smith, a realtor with the Century 21 Stahirsky Agency, would like to chat with you. Lydia has over 15 years of experience in the real estate profession and is well known for her professionalism. She has sold many properties over the years as a professional realtor and is well respected due to her experience in and knowledge of the Northern Rhode Island real estate market. You will be pleased by her quick response, her attention to detail, and her remarkably high level of integrity. Having purchased 2 homes and selling another myself, I can appreciate Lydia's knowledge, success, and professionalism as a trusted realtor. You can reach Lydia by calling her at 401-808-0430. Lydia promises a quick response to your call. Again, call Lydia Smith, professional realtor, at 401-808-0430 for your property buying or selling needs.
The Nathan Marcus Show, WNRI. 1380 AM and 99.9 FM, or online at WNRI.com and TuneIn Radio. Give us a call at 401-766-1380 or 401-769-0600, or toll free at 1-800-949-9674 is the phone number to call. So, just to recap, we were talking about the Amateur Radio Field Day and the next week. And you can always listen to that again. We'll talk more about it. But now we have Ask a Mechanic segment. It's always interesting. I always learn a lot about from when we get to this point of the show. We do have a email. Would you like to go through that now, or do you have something you'd like to talk to us today?
No, let's do the email first.
Cool. So this email comes from, let me pull it up. Frank in Smithfield, Rhode Island. And he says, my check engine light is on, and the girl at AutoZone hooked up a tool and said there is a code. And the code is P0014, valve timing issue. I have a 2017 Toyota Camry. Is this serious? Do I need to get it fixed right away? What will it cost to fix this? Thanks.
Anything else? Any other information?
That's it.
Okay. So they want to know if it's serious, you said?
Yeah.
Well, that code P0014 means that the exhaust camshaft is over advanced. Now, I can explain what that means in a minute, but is it serious? It's not catastrophic. It's not going to ruin the engine. I was just wondering, Frank, if you have any, what we call drivability issues, or is it running properly? Is it stalling, or do you have the same power? So I would say, no, it's not serious, but it should be addressed and probably diagnosed so you can get an estimate of how much it's going to cost. So you have to fix right away. No, you don't have to get it fixed right away, but you could be, wasting fuel and by it not running correctly, and that means more gas you have to buy, which increases what you have to pay for gas, of course, overall. And you ask, what will it cost to fix this? Well, it could range. I'm going to go on a limb here and take a guess, educated guess, based on the components that could be causing it or the circuit problem. Again, it'd have to be diagnosed properly, and you could get a true estimate or get one or two estimates. Diagnosing that, a code like that, a check engine light on with a code, it could range anywhere from $80 to 2 hours labor at certain dealerships or independent repair shops. Now, whatever their labor rate is, would be, up to 2 hours, maybe $100 to $240. Again, it's going to vary around that. Could be a little more, a little less. Components cost to replace if it was a VVT solenoid or maybe the actuator for the camshaft. Those parts could range $50 and, to $200. So I would think $400 to $500, but don't hold me to that. Okay, you need to have it diagnosed. It could be something like a circuit problem where there's a bad connector or a wiring issue, and that depends on how soon they can find it, or if they give you a flat rate of diagnosis time to find it. So that's why estimates are important, and it doesn't hurt if you're not sure of the facility that gave you that first estimate, get a second estimate somewhere. But what that code means is that I don't know what engine you have. You didn't say what engine you have. What was it? A Toyota Camry, right?
Toyota Camry, 2017.
Okay. So if it's, let's say it's a 4-cylinder and it's the exhaust camshaft, because it says, I looked up the code, and 14 refers to the camshaft B, which is the exhaust camshaft. So this engine, let's say it's a 4-cylinder, overhead camshafts is one for the intake valves, one for the exhaust valves to open and close them. And on the front end of each camshaft, driven by the timing chain, which connects the camshafts to the crankshaft for proper valve opening at the right time for fuel, emissions, and power, it's saying that the exhaust camshaft is over advanced. So what that means is the camshafts can be rotated or advanced with oil pressure up to 30 to 40 degrees. And then when they don't want to, the engine does control system through the module doesn't want to advance them, a spring will return them back to the original position, or the non-advanced or 0-degree advanced position. The computer is always monitoring the position of the camshaft, both, exhaust and intake, in relation to 0 degrees of advance, and it will actuate or command a VVT, variable valve timing solenoid, to allow engine oil and oil pressure to activate what they call the camshaft gear or the actuator, camshaft actuator. Some manufacturers call it the phaser. I believe Toyota calls it the camshaft gear. So when they say the gear, there's going to be an actuator that can rotate the camshaft, advance it, and then spring pressure will retard it back to 0, or that's the correct term, back to 0 degrees, or non-advanced. And there's a sprocket, again, that connects it to the timing chain. So when the engine wants to advance the camshaft, in this case, the exhaust camshaft, to either control emissions, maybe it wants to correct an idle, keep a certain idle, or create more power, or better fuel economy, or in the case of an exhaust valve, you would advance it to help give the lower emissions by controlling what would be called the exhaust gas recirculation without having to have an EGR, or exhaust gas recirculation valve. So the module tells the solenoid, advance the camshaft, meaning send oil pressure through the solenoid or control solenoid to the actuator and advance the camshaft. When it sends that command, it's going to watch the camshaft position sensor, a separate component, to see what position it's in. It expects it to see it advance when it tells it to advance. Now, this code is specific to, it commanded it to advance, and then it commanded it to not have it advance, so let the oil pressure, stop the oil pressure going to the actuator, so the spring inside the actuator can return the camshaft back to 0 degrees. However, like I said, it's always monitoring the camshaft position. So when it tells the camshaft actuator not to be advanced, but to let it return to 0 degrees, it doesn't see the camshaft go back to 0 degrees. So that means the camshaft is stuck in the advanced position, or some number of degrees advanced from 0. Now, the causes of that is obviously what needs to be diagnosed. And the typical cause is because the actuator is actuated by oil pressure. The engine, first of all, has to have enough oil in it. The condition of the oil, meaning it shouldn't be too thin, it should be able to create pressure. and the consistency, and there's no contamination in the oil. So the first thing that someone would diagnose is the way I would diagnose. I'll tell about the causes. So it could be the engine oil is low or not in good condition. It could be that there's sludge buildup in the actuator, the passageways where the oil pressure works. It could be an actuator that the return spring is broken and doesn't return it back to zero. So it's stuck in the advanced position, even though there's no oil pressure pushing it to advanced. It just can't return on its own because the spring has to return. And that's pretty common. The actuators can go bad and not return because the spring broke. Or there's sludge in the passageways of the actuator, or this engine, sludge due to poor oil change maintenance or frequency. And that could be in the VVT solenoid or the oil control solenoid, or the passageways in the cylinder head between that VVT solenoid, the outlet side, and the actuator itself. Or it could be sludge in the engine on the feed side or before the actuator. So again, the common causes are low oil, poor oil condition, contaminants in the oil, or sludge, or a bad solenoid, or control solenoid is what they call it, or a bad actuator. Now, what if I were to diagnose it myself? I would use a scan tool, hook it up to the vehicle, and through what they call bidirectional controls, you can actually actuate the VVT solenoid in test mode and tell it with the engine, at idle, or up, it tells you the software will say raise the engine up to about 1,200 RPMs by pressing on the gas pedal. And it'll say, you can push a button and say, advance the timing on the camshaft. And it does that. You tell it to do that, and the module will control the solenoid. At the same time, you're watching the camshaft position, and you're trying to see if it changes. Then you release the command or stop the command and see if it returns. Now, you're just confirming what the code says is happening. But while you're doing that, you can actually check for voltage and current on the solenoid to see if it's being received by the module, right? So there's a few things I don't have time to get into that specifics, but to be too technical. But that's what a technician would do, is confirm it with a scan tool. Is it able to operate? Now, what you do to diagnose as part of the diagnosis. I would recommend you have the oil change with fresh oil, change the oil filter, and see if the check engine light turns off. Because this is what they call a two-trip code, meaning it's always testing the system. And when it sees that camshaft, in this case, the exhaust one, is staying advanced, it's going to note that it failed the first test. The second consecutive test that it fails, it will put the light on and set the code and store the code. The code is pending the first time it fails. So a technician may want to clear the code, or you may have someone clear the code, see if it comes back after the oil change. Now, when you clear a code or codes in a computer, you should record what they call freeze frame data. That's like a snapshot of all the other sensors, so that when the code was set, the computer takes a snapshot of all the other parameters and values of all the other sensors and circuits. And a technician can use that information to diagnose when the code happened. Was the engine cold or hot? Was it under high RPM or maybe idle speed? How fast the vehicle is going. And those are all like little clues to help you diagnose as a technician what could be the cause. And of course, there's some electrical circuit diagnosis that may be required if you don't see the actuation of the solenoid and the camshaft advance through the camshaft position sensor signal or value. Try not to be long-winded here, but again, what will it cost to fix? We covered that. And that's what that means. So it's not serious, but it could cause you engine performance and definitely fuel economy, and you'll probably be emitting more emissions than you're supposed to by federal law. So if you have any questions, call in or send us another email, Frank. And I appreciate you letting us know about this.
Would they would he have to get that replaced before he gets expected, if he has to ever get the car expected?
Good point. Right. So if you do a state inspection in Rhode Island or most states, they don't allow codes to be set. So if there's a code in the system and it's it's picked up on during the emissions test of the state inspection test, it will be a cause for failure. Now, if you clear the code and go to have your test done, say, okay, I'll clear the code. There'll be no code in the module or the memory. I'll get my inspection done. Part of the inspection process is that the equipment looks to see if what are called the monitors have been reset. So when you clear the code, not only do you clear the codes or codes in the memory, you clear the freeze frame data and you clear what they call the readiness monitors. So the Rhode Island, if there's more than one monitor that hasn't run and passed or completed and passed, that will be cause for rejection also. So you don't want to just clear your codes and go get the emissions test because it'll know that you cleared the codes and it's not going to pass it because these monitors, I'll talk about monitors next week.
Yeah.
Or if you want to call in now, I can explain monitors. And so
probably good for next week.
Yeah.
So we do have to take an ad break.
Yeah. Well, not just that, but just that's a lot to explain too.
Yeah.
But so Frank, have your oil and filter change if it hasn't been done lately. And see if the code comes back. Now, if that fixes the problem, changing oil, again, you'd have to drive the vehicle under certain conditions called a drive cycle. And that means that it's not just going to be one trip. You have to maybe accelerate a few times. I actually have the drive cycle here printed out for me to reference. But you have to do some stops and starts and go from a certain RPM to another higher RPM and a certain mile per hour to a higher mile per hour. But when you do a drive cycle, and it passes the first drive cycle self-test and then the second one consecutively, it will clear the code and put the light off.
Awesome.
But yeah, Frank, like I said, email us later if you have more questions, or feel free to call in today or next week.
Yep. And if anyone listening, you want to give us a call, you can at 401-766-1380 or 401-769-0600 or toll free at 1-800-949-WNRI. 1-800-949-9674, or you can email us by visiting nathanmarkley.net/askamechanic. We're going to take a quick ad break, and we'll come back. Dad, you have some stuff you'll talk about? Cool. All right.
Oh, yeah.
The Nathan Markley Show, WNRI.
Accidents happen, but choosing the right repair shop makes all the difference. For over 45 years, Hillview Auto Body in Johnston has been the name Rhode Islanders trust. Established in 1980, a Gold Class certified and Class A body shop, we've invested in the highest level of training and technology to ensure your vehicle is repaired to the strictest industry standards, and we've built our reputation on quality craftsmanship, honest service, and getting the job done right the first time. From minor dents to major collision repairs, our expert technicians handle it all. We handle most of the claim process to make the repair process smooth and stress-free from start to finish. At Hillview Auto Body, your car isn't just another job, it's treated like our own. So when life throws you a bump in the road, trust the team that's been fixing them for decades. Hillview Auto Body, Johnston, Rhode Island. Quality you can see, service you can trust.
You're listening to the Nathan Markley Show on WNRI 1380 AM and 99.9 FM, or online at WNRI.com and our TuneIn Radio app. 401-766-1380, 401-769-0600, or 1-800-949-9674 is the phone number to call. So, Dad, what else do you have for us today?
I had a couple of things I thought would be interesting. One, I just wanted to, I heard last week that on the 24th of June, next Wednesday, Slate Auto will be having their official announcement of the entry-level price or the base price of their base model vehicle, the pickup truck, with no accessories and no options, just off the assembly line price. There's some banter on the World Wide Web that it's around $24,500. That's what people are guessing, or supposedly it was leaked. You can't trust that information, but they said it was leaked by Slate, and it was on their website for 1 or 2 days and then taken down on the reservation page. And I think that's a decent, it's a good price if you're looking at that vehicle. Now, again, that's with no options. That's going to be the pickup truck model. It's not going to be the the extra parts to make it the SUV version, as they call it. With the second seat in the back, that piece on the back that makes it enclosed, and the roll bar. But they're also going to announce the prices of the accessories. They have a full accessory catalog, and those will be announced. So you can go online and configure the vehicle and get an idea of what it may look like. And of course, if you want to have that gray composite color, body color, you can stay with that. If you want to have a wrap, prices for certain wraps or specific wraps that they offer as an accessory. And just to give you an update on Slate, the people are extrapolating basic. If they take a basic Slate pickup truck and they want to option it with that SUV package, maybe a wrap, maybe a couple of accessories like a pad tablet, a phone holder, because there's no entertainment and comfort interface. There will be air conditioning in there with some manual controls or knobs, and there'll be a small display above the steering wheel column in the center of the dashboard for pertinent, safety information, vehicle information, but nothing extra. So that's why they call it a slate, a clean slate. You can bring your own tablet or phone, and you could add a speaker to it. So people are saying that if you get order the basic model, the clean slate, make it an SUV, maybe a wrap and one or two small accessories, you're looking at $32,000. That's, again, a guesstimate. So what I'm trying to say here is, if you're looking for a slate, it seems like a okay entry-level price. But if you're comparing an EV that's only rear-wheel drive and not all-wheel drive, like the Slate, is only rear-wheel drive at this time, and that's going to be with the basic battery, the lower 150-mile range.
For that price, you can get like a Subaru Impreza or Crosstrek. Yeah.
You can get a Ford Maverick. I'm not trying to change anyone's mind about the Slate. I'm excited to see one.
Yeah.
And test drive one. But my point is, there's models out there already that are around the same price with a lot more features and benefits and
it is pretty cool that you can customize
that's the whole point. If you're into that, or you're a do-it-yourselfer, or you want to pay someone to do that and you want to change it up every other year or every year, change the configuration, change the wrap to a different color,
it'd be great.
Add accessories.
Fleet trucks. It'd be great fleet trucks.
Yeah, because it's a low entry point for fleet trucks. So if someone's a company's looking at any kind of truck, plumbing, electrician, delivery, whatever, and you have to buy one or two, three or more, 2 or 3 or more, that's called a fleet, right? You have a fleet. It could be a low entry price point to get some vehicles on the road. Now you'd have to determine how and where you're going to charge them, right? So that's going to be some infrastructure you have to have at wherever they're being parked overnight to be charged up. And it's, it can be configured exactly the way they want. They can change instead of having a vehicle painted or wrapped, you can have a specific wrap made and put it on yourself, or have someone, put it on for you. But it's a different vehicle. It's going to be different.
Yeah.
So it's for a certain market.
Yeah.
What type of person?
I'm definitely interested in it. I'm more of a second vehicle, or even maybe for like my technology company too.
We should have one in our driveway. Yes, whether it's my name's on the registration or your name's on the registration, we should have one in our driveway. I can replace one of my cars with that.
My mobile tech company. Hopefully, I can start soon. I kind of do it now, but I want to make it official. That could be another topic for another week. I have some options for that.
I have another topic I wanted to bring up.
Okay.
But again, listeners, if you're out there listening, please feel free to call in with any automotive-related question.
401-766-1380, 401-769-0600, or toll free at 1-800-949-9674 is the phone number to call.
Okay. So the other subject I wanted to bring up was seeing it's summertime.
Well, actually, let's take another ad break, and then we'll get to that topic. The Nathan Mark Show, WNRI. You're listening to the Nathan Markley Show on WNRI 1380 AM and 99.9 FM, Woonsocket, Rhode Island. And thanks to Libsyn for hosting this show. You can listen to the replay for this week, previous weeks, and even future shows on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or anywhere else you can listen to a podcast. Use my unique promo code Nathan, Nathan, to get a free month of podcast hosting from Libsyn. And just like for my show, Libsyn can help you get your show on Apple Podcasts and Spotify anywhere you want, get crucial stats to help you grow, find all the tools and support you need to sound your very best. You can even do video. Really bring your podcast to life with Libsyn. See show notes for my unique Libsyn promo code and get podcasting today. Thanks for listening to this show. As an ad-supported show, we are always looking for new partners with products and services that will benefit our audience. Are you ready to grow your business? Reach out to nathanmarkley.net/advertise and launch your campaign now. You're listening to the Nathan Markley Show on WNRI 1380 AM and 99.9 FM or online at WNRI.com and a TuneIn Radio app. 401-766-1380, 401-769-0600, or toll free at 1-800-949-9674 is the phone number to call. All right, so we have about 5 minutes left or so, but you have another topic that we can get to, which is perfect timing for our next topic.
Right. So if anybody that's listening has ever had an odor, an unpleasant odor from your air conditioning system, I want to talk about that, and feel free to call in. Okay. So what causes that? Let me first explain what it could be. You know, sometimes the odors, I'm going to say the word unpleasant. You can describe it in your own way or your own words. I don't want to use those words on the radio, but an unpleasant odor. Typically, it's condensation that has grown mold on what they call the evaporator core. That's the heat exchanger where the refrigerant is inside and it boils from a liquid to a gas. And when it boils, it takes away heat. And that heat comes from the air that's being blown over the evaporator or the outside of the evaporator and from the blower motor. So when you want to cool the air, you push the air through the blower motor over the evaporator, and heat is absorbed as it boils the refrigerant from a liquid to a gas. That's how it takes away heat. Now, on the outside of the evaporator, on the metal itself, there can be mold growing, or there's mold and dampness inside the HVAC, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning box that the evaporator core and the heater core resides in, and the blower motor is also, the fan part of the motor is in there also, and the mode doors that direct the air to up, down, mid-level of the dashboard, or the blend door, which takes in outside air or can stop outside air from coming in and only recirculates the air inside the vehicle cab. So how does the mold get there? Well, there's a drain. It's called the HVAC box drain or water drain that allows the condensation to drain out of that box onto the ground. So you may see when your air conditioner is running a puddle of water under your vehicle. That's normal because that water comes from the moisture in the air that's blown across the the evaporator core by the blower motor. So the moisture in the air will condense on the outside of the evaporator core or the metal, they're typically aluminum, because the moisture, when that is carried by the air in a gaseous state, when it hits the cold metal of the evaporator, because the refrigerant's running through it, that water or moisture condenses on the outside and drips off and goes out the vehicle. So if the drain is blocked, that will cause a backup of the water, and the evaporator metal will never be able to get rid of that dampness on the outside of it. So you have that unpleasant odor that grows, okay? And a way to fix that is, you want to check to make sure that drain's not clogged. You got to get under the vehicle in a safe manner or have someone do it for you. and just open it up carefully with a plastic tool
Mm.
and clean it out. Now, you may see water dripping, but you still have the odor. So you have to combat the mold that's already there. And I wanted to talk about these inexpensive ways to do that yourself. You can get Lysol. You can go to an auto parts store or maybe a Walmart or some other retailer, and they sell these products that are designed to get rid of those odors in the HVAC box and on the evaporator core. And you can spray that in there. So when I say spray that in, you could have your AC on, your fan or blower motor on, medium 2 or high speed. You have the mode set to not recirculate or not max, because max means you don't have the air coming in from the outside. You're recirculating the same air inside the cab over and over again, putting it over the evaporator the same over and over again. So you want that to not be in max or not be in recirculate, whatever the term is used on your vehicle's AC system. So that means it's taking in outside air.
Mm.
So from outside the vehicle, typically, under the hood or right from the cowl area or the base of the windshield, wherever you see that screen, sometimes you can't see it, but there'll be slits in the plastic panel where the air is taken in from the outside.
Mm.
Spray some Lysol there while the fan's running and you have the AC on, and you have it in not max or not recirculate, to repeat again, and that'll take in the Lysol with that air coming in that's being drawn in, or maybe the product you buy that says, cleans up the mold in the HVAC box. That's one way to do it. You can do it yourself. Or you can buy what they have these cans of the disinfectant and mold killers that you could put in the vehicle. And this time you set the AC on, the fan or blower motor to medium 2 or high speed. But in this case, when you're going to have that can on the inside of the vehicle, you have to have it in recirculate. So it's taking in the same air from inside the vehicle. And typically you're going to close the doors, have the windows up. You press the nozzle on the can so it sprays out its contents.
Mm.
Okay, it sprays out its contents, and that's disinfecting and making that smell go away. It may be temporary. If it's only temporary and the smell comes back after a while, it means you have, some mold on that
Mm-hmm.
evaporator, and you should do it more often. Make sure the drain is completely cleared out and open. And one other thing, a lot of vehicles now have what they call a cabin air filter. So it's an air filter that cleans the air coming into the vehicle. Have that replaced or do it yourself. A lot of videos online,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of instructions come in the box. Or instructions do come in the box in most of the filters that you buy. And that's a relative $30 part. And you can do it yourself very easily.
Cool.
So I thought that'd be timely, seeing that it's summertime, and
Yeah.
you may have that, especially in older vehicles where the drains can get clogged from, the debris from trees and pine needles and just whatever, leaves, acorns that fall down where that air gets drawn in, and they sit in that spot.
Yeah. That's very good information. Well,
Okay.
we are out of time.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening to the Nathan Marks on this Friday night. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate you being here. If you missed any part of the show and want to listen back, catch the replay on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify. And I'll talk to you all next Fridays. Talk to you then.
Have a good weekend.
Bye, everyone.
Good week. Bye-bye.
Another Friday in the books, laugh lines running through the show. You've been riding every turn through the highs and the low. We're closing out the Nathan Markley Show. Thank you for the time you chose. Same place, same dial, See you next week on WNRI. Show on WNRI. It's the Nathan Markley Show. Show